Babes, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, my name is Ofente and I am your book bae. Your book bae is once again in the building with another video, and I am so happy to be back, you guys. If you watched my previous video, I just did a discussion just highlighting some of the books that I've been reading and catching you guys up on just everything to do with my reading goals, my TBR, what's to come, some book mail that I was sent. So I'm really grateful. Thanks so much to Jacana Media for sending me that content or those books, and I am looking forward to reading them. And yeah, so this video is actually a review video, okay, about this book that I actually read a few months ago. And I actually, maybe it's a good thing that I just chilled before I did the review, because when I say that I was just like gobsmacked, shocked, excited, overwhelmed, emotional, inspired, everything that like I could feel, I felt after reading this book, and mostly positive emotions. I'm sure you can tell by the adjectives that I've used describing how I was feeling. So yes, let's get into the video. So guys, if you don't know me, I think you know me. I think I've introduced myself, so we can go straight into the video. This is the book that we are reviewing in this video. It's called Coming In From the Cold by Professor Bonang Mohale. It says here that it's it's an autobiography, Coming In From the Cold, an autobiography. You can see there it says an autobiography, and I just want to make a note. Sorry for the inconsistent lighting. Right now I'm filming in front of a window because I don't have a ring light, and I'm tired of making excuses about why I don't film. So I just decided, let me find the best time of day to film this and the best lighting, and I'm going to do it. So it might just be a little bit inconsistent throughout the video, but I hope that you'll forgive me, especially because my day ones know, like, girl has had some technical glitches on this channel, but I appreciate you guys for sticking by me and just staying for what really matters, which is the content and the discussion surrounding books. Let's celebrate reading. Let's celebrate what it means to have a reading culture in this country, especially because it's something that is waning. So back to the review. So I haven't done this in such a long time, so I guess we start with the synopsis. So the synopsis of the book is just a recollection of memories. So I guess it's something you could simulate, like you having a conversation with your dad or your uncle and them telling you how things are back in their day and what's made them who they are, and kind of answering some of those questions that you may have that you may never ever get to answer if you don't have the time to answer them, because sometimes people don't necessarily share while they're alive, which I think why autobiographies are so important, especially if you are a normal person. I think that incredible, outstanding people such as Professor Mohale definitely often write their autobiographies, but for the everyday person, it's worthwhile having some of these conversations and asking. But in any case, that's just a thought that I'm having in my head. So the book is essentially about his life, but what I love about the book, and this is what I would literally tell everybody who would listen to me, that what I enjoyed most about this book is the fact that it's not just an autobiography in the sense that it's like, this is my life, this is what I did, this is how I got here, this is who I was, aligned with in this time, and this is what we built, and whatever the case may be, and my family and my upbringing and what have you. It really does give you actionable tools and things that you can do in order to basically build your own wealth and your own legacy. And I think it just requires you to really have the attention to detail. Like, for example, there are some tips here that he speaks to about business and how he's built his business and his family business particularly, and what they did and how they structured it and how that's been beneficial to them, and what their strategy was while building the business, and some of the things that they did when they started the business. So for me, as a master's in digital business student and, just business person, I think that it is very, 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 very useful for somebody who would like such tips, especially if you're considering entrepreneurship. But of course, there are as well some tips and tools that speak to career progression, because if you know anything about Professor Mohale, he is currently the Chancellor at the University of the Free State, and he is also a business person, but before that he also served in many boards, and he still currently does serve in many multiple boards, and he is also a business, like a corporate giant, you know. So there are a lot of things and a lot of insights that he can give based on specific or different fields and different institutions and different, I want to say, environments particularly. So yes, so that is just a little bit about the synopsis. Not much of a synopsis, but just, you know, just overall what you can expect from the book. And then what else can I say? So that's the synopsis. Then in terms of how, like, the style or the tone that the book is written in, the book is written in a first person narrator. He speaks about he speaks about, this is what I did, what I thought, you know. So because it's a first person narrator, we get to hear his thoughts from his perspective specifically. Okay, so let me read you an excerpt of one of the things. This is the first thing that I highlighted in the book. So you know that this is something that for me was a big thing, because I do have a few things highlighted, not that many in this book, but this is the first thing that I felt like, wow. Okay. Oh, this speaks to the business exports. We've tried to involve our daughters, but neither has shown much interest. One of them worked in consulting for a year. She has a master's in marketing, but ultimately chose a different path. They're both pursuing their passions, and we support that. It's why we built this thing in the first place, so they'd have options, so they wouldn't be driven by fear or lack, but by purpose. So that speaks specifically to the reason why they built their businesses and how they structured them the way that they did. And I thought that was so powerful, particularly because, when you're a young person in this world, and it's so oftentimes, like, as you're on that journey to build yourself, it's great to have choices, and it's great to have certain things that have been insulated or made easier for you. And I'm definitely of the opinion that parents should definitely do that, and I'm grateful that I really also do and did let me just use the present tense, sharp, do have parents, and also as far as they can, they assist me. But there have been some choices or some opportunities where you just kind of do because you're like, oh, okay, like, I'm just doing this because I just need to get somewhere. But then it's always so special to be in a situation where you can really do it from something from your heart center. And I really do believe that intentional parenting can do that. So I think that's why I highlighted that. So that's just an excerpt from the book, but it also shows, like what I was saying, trying to illustrate that it's from a first person narrator. And that's just like a small gem from the book, right? And also I think it shows the character and the type of parenting that Professor Mohale and his wife Susan did, Mum Susan did for their children. So shout out to them for that. So we've spoken about the synopsis, we've spoken about the writing style, very conversational, like I was saying, accessible, of course. I would think that. I feel like if there are ever times that you feel like you need to consult a dictionary, by all means, but I think for the most part it's quite easy to understand. And then what else can I say? Now I think I'll go into what I liked and what I didn't like about the book. So let's start with what I didn't like about the book. I don't think there's anything I didn't like, honestly. Like, I feel like I could sing this book's praises from sunset to dawn. I really loved the book. I loved everything about the book, and I feel like it's one of those books that I actually feel like I can actually read again. And I'm so sad because now I see that there's a tear here at the bottom, which I don't know when that happened. Did that happen now? I hope not. But in any case, it's just one of those things that I will always cherish. And I'm so, so grateful that I was able to be at the book club and book discussion with YLC Ideal, because I think that really brought the book to life for me. And I'm the type of person, just for context, that I will often attend book launches or book signings without having bought the book, because I first want to hear from the author themselves, what do they think and what was their POV when they were writing the book. And somehow I feel like I go to the book launches, the book signings, with the idea that, okay, like, sell me this book, like, tell me why I should buy this book and read this book, and what are the takeaways that I could receive from supporting you in this way as the author. Maybe that is the wrong way. I don't know. I think some of my book peers rather do it the other way, that they would buy the book, read the book, and then be able to engage in the discussion. But it's always beneficial for me, because some books, although you love the author or whatever the case may be, but maybe you just don't want to actually read about certain themes, but it's still your way of supporting the author. So I think that's important from me anyways. Like, for example, I don't know if I had gone to a book signing or a book launch for some of the other books that I didn't necessarily enjoy, would I have read the book? Probably not. I think it's a toss-up between sometimes you're just curious and you just want to know more. But before we go into what I liked and what I didn't like, although I've covered that I didn't not like anything in the book, I want to talk about some of the themes that come up in the book. So we definitely have business, we have climbing the corporate ladder, we have family responsibility. I think, like, I want to say poverty, I want to say overcoming poverty, a story of overcoming. I really think this book is a story of overcoming difficult family dynamics. The love of a grandmother is something that was so sweet and covered well in this book. Parenthood, why parenting is so important. Legacy, and the idea that who you are and what you accomplish can actually outlive your lifetime, and you really can have a sustainable impact on people that will really benefit them for years to come. This idea of mentorship, and particularly investing in Black women and women. I think that Professor Mohale is one person who loves and believes in women, and I love that for him, and I love that for us, and I love that for the women that he has been able to build up and support in all the different ways that he details in the book, and some that we will actually never know. I think his presence also in real life, he's just such a nurturer, like such a father figure, and I feel like it's so interesting because some people are so inherently that, and I think we discuss a lot of the time about how women are so maternal, but wow, I think he's one of the few people that I've met, or few men specifically, that I can feel wow, he is so paternal, and he does it in such a loving and kind way. So that was refreshing. And also, someone of his success is just for him to still have that humility is amazing. And definitely I will also speak to humility. Education is a big theme in the book. I loved his story and his candidness about how he dropped out of medicine at Wits, and he said, listen, I need to secure the bag, I need to make that money, and he decided that this would be a career change for him, because it was just something that I guess he was driven to. He felt in his heart, and he heard a top leader at the time. I just can't remember who it was for the life of me, but speaking on the radio, and then he was inspired by him and just decided that, I want to be like him. So he dropped out of school and he went and he found a job, but still without he still, I think, recognized the importance of school, because then he went on to receive his qualifications in marketing and also became a chartered marketer of South Africa. So that was really incredible. And all the other things that he's done, all the different things that he's served on in his personal capacity, volunteered as well, and the people that he's uplifted, which is just a testament to who he is. So yes, definitely the idea of legacy, just definitely the idea of business and ownership and community building, and not necessarily viewing yourself as an individual. I love his ethos. With his wife, Mom Susan, they decided that each and every business that they have, they'll have at least 2 people from their family who are working in the business, because they really, I think, encapsulate this thing of what it means to lift as you rise. Because a lot of people and families become successful and then they just kind of forget their family. And I think it's a big thing, because everybody knows that the general consensus is that you don't do business with friends and you don't do business with family. But for them to be so intentional about doing business with family and including them, and of course it hasn't been easy, because it's never really easy, but that commitment to assisting and helping and being there to share the wealth and the blessings that you've accumulated is quite amazing, and can imagine it's also not easy. So love that. What else? Parenting is definitely a theme. Love is a theme. It's a big theme in the book. How he speaks about his wife is so, oh wow, I think everybody deserves that and needs that. I enjoyed his vulnerability also as it pertains to his family life and his personal life and his upbringing. And I also think that's another thing that, I don't know, in our society, perhaps men are not necessarily encouraged to be that vulnerable. Oh my gosh. And just excellence. I think there's one theme throughout his career is just this theme of excellence. Like, he has just been somebody who has been a beacon of hope and just a shining example since childhood, when he won an award for a writing competition that Elleren's threw. And then he was supposed to win a certain amount of money, but then Elleren said, you know what, you are so spectacular. What we're going to do is we are going to throw your whole school, your whole high school, a party. And I can just imagine he was just that guy after that, like that guy on the school. They don't call it campus. What do they call it? The school grounds. And everyone was just like, oh, okay, he's that guy. He's the pizza guy. He's got clout, da da da. But you know, yeah, and what was amazing is that him and his wife got married so young. So that was wow, because for me, I don't know, in this world that we live in, there is just so much, people are so fickle, and I can imagine that that must have been not easy either. But what a blessing it is to have the opportunity to grow with your high school sweetheart. Like, somebody, especially I guess when you reach certain levels of success. I know there's a lot of conversation around people being in very transactional relationships and wanting certain people because it means, or it symbolizes a certain level of success, and you want all the benefits that come with that person. But what a blessing it is to have been with the same person from before you were building to where you are now, and be able to share with that, and all the inside jokes and all the shared history and all the shared love and everything that they can just look back on and reflect on. And it's just amazing. So big theme in the book, and probably one of my favorite themes in the book, actually. So I've spoken about the synopsis. I've spoken about what I liked, what I didn't like about the book. I've spoken about the themes in the book, and I've spoken about the narration, or how it's written, and the narrative voice specifically. And now I'd like to go into what I did like. I don't even know if it's like worth talking about what I did like, because I think that just shines through my analysis leading up to this book, this section in the review. But what I can do, I can read an excerpt from the book, something that's stuck with me. Let me find it. And then that will serve as this part of the book. Let's read the last thing that I actually highlighted, which is at the top here. Oh, this is very like technical. I don't know if I want to read that. Let's read this at the beginning of the chapter, which says, forging our family way. We've always said that the biggest mistake parents make is trying to live their dreams through their children. Susan and I were clear from the beginning that we didn't want to do that. We wanted our daughters to be free, truly free, to follow their passions and to become their own people. That clarity was born from our own experience. Susan and I both grew up with the kind of fear that only poverty can instill. It was the most amazing fear, sharp, ever present, and motivating. We knew what it meant to start from zero. Our career choices were shaped by that fear. We picked paths that would bring in money quickly, not necessarily because they were our passions, but because they gave us the means to support our parents and build a life. But we didn't want that for our daughters. We wanted them to be able to choose differently, to have options, and to chase their dreams without the weight of survival pressing on their backs. That speaks to, I think, what I was saying earlier about their parenting style. But that was really, yeah, you can tell that I really like that, because I highlighted it before that and now most recently in the book. The second last thing that I actually highlighted. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I think I would definitely recommend anybody to read this book. I would definitely specifically recommend it for South Africans, South African youths, South African business people. I think at all stages in their career, I think there's something that you can derive, and there's definitely value that you can derive from this book. And I would encourage anyone who's read the book to please let me know, comment down below, let me know, have you read the book? What did you think about the book? What was your main takeaway with regards to the book? And I would just love to know what you're reading as well. And if you've read any of his other books, which I definitely think that I will be doing. This was actually his first book that I read, and I know he has, I think, 2 or 3 others, but I will, yeah, that's something that I love. I love to hear people's stories, especially people who have reached significant milestones in their careers and success, and have had access to things that people don't necessarily have access to or will never have access to. Like, I always want to know, how did you do it? You know what I mean? Because can I replicate it, or can I also take some notes and learn from you and that? And it's quite amazing. At the back of the book, the bio, or the write-up at the back of the book starts with from Davidson to Davos, and that is just like, hello. You know, how many people can say that they go to Davos for that conference that happens there, and it's actually like he's been there so many times. So levels, honey, you know. So yeah, let me know what you're reading, and if there are any books that you think I would enjoy based on me enjoying this one. For people, the OGs on this channel, you guys know that I love an autobiography and I love me some African literature. So throw it my way. If I get to read about you and what makes you you, I am so interested in that, and I love that. And I think that's also one of the reasons why I studied journalism, because I really love to hear and understand people's stories. But yeah, that's it from me. And please do remember to do the right thing. Like, comment, share, subscribe, comment. Let's keep this conversation going. Follow me on Instagram at OfenteMDK, TikTok at OfenteMDK. And yeah, bye for now.